Up, YouTube. It's Pastor Bob. I'm putting you in the thing. That's what I'm doing. So I wanted to give you a class today. On what? Well, you'll see here in a second. Wanted to give you up close and personal. Let me see if the camera's looking good, so you guys can see me struggle here. Yeah. So I wanted to show you how to change tires the old-fashioned way. How to change the tires. First off, I'll take it off the rim. And then I'll do another video on how to clean it. And then I'll do another video on balancing. How to balance the wheel. So, anyway, without further ado, I got some new tires I picked up a while back. And I'm just now getting around to it. So, I figure might as well get it done. Do we want to do it? No, we don't. It's hot. But I put my flip-flops on, so I ought to be pretty cool. You're probably saying, changing tires and flip-flops? Dude, I'm a swamp Yankee. I don't have to put my pretty boy shoes on and all that. Use some common sense and you can do it bare-ass naked if you want to. Anyway, so I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay? So the first order of business is you want to, if I can show you, let me see if the camera's showing everything before. Yeah, let me move this back real quick. Move this back here. And I'll bring this up here. Alright, so, if you see right here, this is called the valve stem. And inside the valve stem, okay, it's called the valve stem core. If you look, and the bands, they designate the size and what size it would go to, and I don't really want to get into all that. But, anyways, what you got to do is you get yourself a valve stem remover. Now, this actually does 4 different things, and I'll show you what this does. So, the first order of business is this little end right here that has a slot in it. What it does is, when this is inside of the valve stem itself, like this, you take this end with a little slot in it, and it's designed so that the little air pin, I'll show you, I'll pull it out. This little air pin right here, okay, fits inside of that little hole. You guys can see it. There's a little hole in the end where the slot is. So it's kind of foolproof, right? You slide it over the top to where it matches up with the little slots here, right? And it perfectly fits without damaging this little end. So if it ain't turning, you're probably doing it wrong. And then what you want to do is counterclockwise to take it out and clockwise to put it back in. So once you get that out, then you got 3 other things. You have an inside reamer, an outside reamer, okay, and if you look, and then you have a different type of reamer right there, right? Yeah. So you got 3 types of reamers. The ones that you really need to concentrate on, if need be, is this round one for the inside. Okay. So what it does is it goes inside of the stem. I'll show you. So you just line it up straight, go on the inside, and you just run it through there once until it bottoms out, and then you back it out. And if you feel some resistance, then you might want to put a little bit of, just a little tiny drop of oil on there and run it back through a couple times. You don't have to try to go to China. Just go till it bottoms out and then pull it out a couple times. That's it. All right. Generally, you want to use that for, valve stems that have been around a lot of maybe salt or rock or stuff like that. Might have got corroded. somebody that ran around without the valve cap on, because a lot of people do that, you know. They'll take it off they'll lose it when they're checking the air pressure, and then they don't bother to redo it. Well, what happens is you'll get grit and grime and dirt and stuff up in there, and then it makes it a beast to get it out. And then sometimes you tear these you tear these little stems up, and you have to replace them too. Or the outside of the valve stem itself. All right. What happens is it gets all beat up and bruised up and dented, and it just messes up the thread. So what you want to do with that is on the other side, you'll see a split end. You see that? And then you just try to clean it off the best you can. Put a little dab of oil on it, and then just place it on there. Run it down and back a couple of times, and you should be pretty good. The only purpose that it actually has those threads on the outside is holding the cap on. So, you know, you don't have to be overly concerned, because the cap will screw on there because it's plastic, but you should do it. Once you got that done, then what you want to do is go ahead and put your tire on the ground. Let me take that chuck off, because I'm tired of hearing that. Set it on the ground, like so. Hope you guys can see me. Probably not. Let me look, see if you guys can see me. I probably can't, so let's see if I can put you down. There we go. Alright, now you guys can see me. So what you try to do is center the tire on the center of your tire machine. Now, this tire machine I got, I don't know how many years ago. Well, I've had it since I had it since before I moved here, so it's at least 6 years old. And I think I paid like $150 for it or something. It's probably saved me $1,500, so it was worth it. Anyway, and what I did was I cemented it in the ground, as you can see. That's a necessity, right? Is if you're going to have it outside, you want to cement it in the ground. Make sure that you have it in a really tough place. And the reason why is I'll show you once I demount the tire why you will want that. Or if you're placing it on a solid piece of concrete that's, 10, 12 inches thick or whatever, then you'd want to lag bolt it in, into the cement. Whichever the case, you want to make sure that it is strongly faceted to the ground. Moving along, the first line of business is you got to break the bead. The outside of this tire is called a bead. And then the inside, the tire has a lip, which you'll see here in a minute. And what happens is when you fill the tire with air, that lip of the tire comes up underneath the inside of the rim, and they call that a bead lock. So it locks into the bead in there. Okay? You probably ask yourself, well, how does it not come off of the bead? Well, air pressure evenly distributed in the tire keeps it from doing that. Okay? So you line it up straight, and the reason why you want to get it straight is if you get it off one side or another, it tends to not want to break the bead properly. And then you take yourself a bar. There's a bar that comes with the machine. There's two ends. There's this end here, which is to take the tire off of the rim, and then you have this tire here, this end here, that is used to put the tire back on. So first line of business is you stick it down in this hole, okay, and then you get this piece of bead breaker right up against, as close as you can get to the rim, and then you push down firmly, all right, and then you work it a little bit at a time, and see how it popped that bead real nice? Trust me, guys, it doesn't always do that. But for the video, thank God it did. And you pull your bar back out. You pick your bead breaker back up. You take the rim. And you flip it around. Opposite side. Put it back up there square as you can get it. Flip your bead breaker back down. Close to the bead as possible. Grab your bar. Set it back in the hole. And what I like to do, the backside sometimes gives you more trouble than the front. Get up on the tire and just push down little by little. That's all you're doing. And work that bead. And that's what I'm doing, just working the bead little by little. Okay, so I work that side of the bead, pick your bead breaker up, move your tire over about a quarter of a turn or so, place the bead breaker back down by as close to the rim as possible, put your bar back in, and repeat. You don't have to put a whole lot of pressure on it, just, you know, work it back and forth. Once you see it releasing itself from the bead, take it, move it another little bit, you know, an eighth or a quarter, whatever you feel comfortable with. There's really no right or wrong distance. Just some of them are more of a beast, so you want to do them a little bit at a time. The smaller the bite you take of trying to take the tire off of the rim, the easier you'll find that it will be in the end. Trust me when I tell you. I've only been doing this for, God, I don't know, my Uncle Steve would know, probably since I was about 8 or 9. Some people say, ah, that's the old-fashioned way. Yeah? Well, let me tell you what. When it costs 30, see it? See it pop off that bead? Yeah. Now, even though it pops off the bead, you still want to grab the tire, move it, pick it back up, and then give it one more little push down, just to make sure. Yeah, because sometimes what happens is the rubber builds up on the inside there, gets sticky. So just to give yourself less of a problem, let's go over a little bit more, and that's it. Okay, now you've broken the bead successfully on both sides. Pick the bead breaker up, grab your rim, put it down, you'll see. Now, you guys can see, which I don't know if you can or not, you'll see that the bead is broken. See that? Now what do? Well, now you want to line this little thing up right here. I don't know if you guys can see this. There's a little retainer. Let me see if I can pick it up here. Alright, if you guys can see this, this is a little retainer right here. Okay? And what you want to do is you want to put that in one of these holes, the lug nut holes. What I like to do before I do that is a center cap. So just take the end of a hammer or something that's non-metallic, and just give it a little tap, and then your center cap will pop out. Okay? Alright. Try to get this as center as possible. Grab your tire. Sometimes they can be a beast, trust me. Get it centered on that. If you guys seen that or not, hopefully you did. And you get it in the hole. Once you get it in the hole, then you take this centering piece. It looks like 4 little wings, right? And you put the bevel side down on top of it, okay? Like that. And then you got a round cap, see it? It screws down on top. Tighten it down hand tight, that's good enough. You know, some people like to hold down beastly tight and all that. You don't really need to do that. Okay? Now, next order of business is you take this tire bar like this, and you'll see there's a little lift end. You see it? And what you want to do is take that lift end. If you have a valve stem, you want to go to the right of the, well, your left if you're staring at it. Place it down in there, okay? Now, you want to push the bar over, like this. Now what you're doing, is you want to get a good bite on it, to where that bar is as close to that bead of the tire as possible. And you want to keep it as low as possible, so that way what you're doing is you're lifting this tire up over the top of this rim, like this. And sometimes it could be a pickle. And you just kind of give it little tugs, make sure that you got a good stance on the ground when you're doing it. And then you'll see that the bead comes up. You say, oh, that looks simple, Reverend Bob. Well, not too bad. The next one can be the pickle, because now you're trying to take the bottom bead, right, which is actually the opposite of this bead, and pull it up over the top. Once again, take your bar, lift up on your tire, put it on the inside, and now you got to get it, you got to pick up on the tire, you got to jam the bar down there as far as possible. Now, what I do is I have a little hammer here that has a rubber end, rubber mallet, and it's got a steel end. And this is my tire changing hammer. Now if you look down in here, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but in here, what happens sometimes is you got to push the bar as far into the bead as possible, or it's going to pop out on you. So what I do is I usually come over, give it a few taps with a rubber mallet until it seats itself up against that underside bead. And then once again, pull on it. Now what you're trying to do when you're doing this is you're trying to pull up and over at the same time. That's why you want to get this up underneath it. And sometimes it's a pickle, guys. You just kind of pull on it a little bit at a time. Now, you find yourself getting in a pinch, right? You take yourself a spray bottle or Windex or whatever, right? Some soap, and you spray the underside of the bead a little bit. What you're trying to do is get a little bit of liquid under there. What it will do is help you not to tear up the bead, because you don't want to tear up your bead if you're just taking the tire off to, fix it or whatever. Now, if it's junk, like these are no good, it really don't matter. But if you're trying to fix a hole or something like that, vulcanize the tire, then you'll want to take it easy and keep that bead on the underside or the top side, lubricated. And it'll help it come off a little bit easier, hopefully. And you just pull back on it, put it a little. Sometimes it comes off, so you get it up underneath that bead again. Tap on it, and give it a few more pulls. And eventually, it comes off. Just like that. And the tire comes off the rim. Voila. You're done. Now, what you want to do is, you want to look at your rim. Make sure there ain't no big dowel gouges taken out or anything like that. And you want to clean up along where this bead is, where the bead sits of the tire on your rim. Okay? Clean it up real good. You don't want no obstructions, right? And just wipe it off. Make sure that there's no excess oxidation or anything like that. Okay? Wipe it off nice and clean. Wipe the rim all off. Any dust or dirt or anything like that, you want to get it all off your rim. Why? Because when you go to balance it, it will throw it off balance if you don't. So make sure that you wipe off all of the excess. Really good. Okay? Watch, I'll clean this up and I'll do another video. This is the first part. Make sure you clean it up. And then the last step to preparing the rim is take yourself, they make a pair of pliers that, I don't even know if I have them anymore. I'll have to go look. Hold on. Let me see if I have them. where I put them for now, but I'll show you how Reverend Bob does it when you ain't got it. So when you ain't got something, the tool to take these weights off, because there's two styles of weights. There's a clip-on weights, right, like this. You have clip-on weights, and then you have stick-on weights. And I'll show you about the stick-on weights in the next video. Just take a screwdriver or something, and there's a little slot. All you gotta do is put it in there and give it a couple little taps, and it'll come right off. And you save these weights because you can use them for other tires. Same thing again. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Take and put it up in the slot. Give it a couple little taps until it comes out. You don't want to tear it up, you know, just give it a few taps and then they'll come out. Okay? And then loosen this up. Take this off. Take your rim up, flip it around. Then you want to clean the inside of your rim, right here, if it looks nasty. And once again, you got some weights here. So you just get it up in that little round slot right there. Give it a few taps. It'll come out. That's it. They come right off. Now, sometimes they don't come off that easy. Don't get mad. You ruin them, well, you ruin them, right? It happens. The longer that they sit on there, the more corrosive they get, most likely they're going to kill themselves. And then you ain't even going to be able to use it. Anyways, that's the first part, part one, of taking your tires off the rim and preparing to put your new tires on and balance it. So I'll be back with you with part two. Thank you. Hope you're enjoying it. I like to teach you guys something all the time, hopefully. Alright, we'll see you in a bit. Like, share, subscribe. Reverend Bob will be right back, but I'm out of here.